TikTok for the win on Facebook. I don't, there's that AOC. What is her? What is it? What does the AOC stand for? Something Cortez, right? You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, so she made a TikTok about, this would be silly if we banned TikTok. I was like, do I agree with you on something? I do. Welcome. Why do people say come on in? Because it's not like you're in the house, or I'll wait till people hop on. We don't say that anymore, right? You guys are more developed than, I'll wait till a few people hop on. We're going to just jump in because A students are first students. So let's hear it, the great Shannon. Uh-oh, she wasn't ready. Okay, the great, I'm sorry. Okay, ma'am. Okay, so we have some viewers phoned in. Did they phone in? Did the viewers phone? Go ahead, ma'am. Do I need one of my plastic phones out? Do you want me to take one of my plastic phones out?
Yes, you should.
I'm sorry. I'm a little wound up tonight. Please forgive me.
That's okay.
Okay, but I'm listening, and I'm about to drink this, which will make me even more wound up. And guess what it has in it? Red food dye. Guess what I like? Dye.
Red food.
Lots of dye.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready. That's a class that we'll be teaching. It's only $75 a person.
Ma'am.
All right, ma'am.
All right. So, does a student have to pass a vision test to be able to be considered for a 504 like they do for SPED? If no, can you give me where to find that in writing?
Nobody has to pass or fail a vision test to get an IEP or a 504. Are these adults that are talking to other adults about stuff they don't know? Oh, yeah, we call it special education.
Yeah.
What the Hello Kitty are you talking about, Alicia? I'm gonna need to get your manager on the phone. Come on, people.
I don't know. I got that in the email this morning, and I was really confused. I was like, "What? Okay, that's a Karen question because why not?
Why not?"
Okay, so Bree submitted a question. My son was diagnosed with ODD, IED, and unspecified ADHD after an IEP was dropped. And now they're refusing to reevaluate. What can I do?
I don't know who they are. So if you disagree with the findings of an evaluation, you can ask for an independent education evaluation at the expense of the district if it's within 364 days of that evaluation. If you have new data that needs to be considered, then the committee has to consider that to see if it triggers child find.
All right. And then Lonnie B asked, what can I do if the school says my child no longer qualifies for an IEP, but I disagree?
You know what I would say? Show me the data.
I like it.
We don't go off what people say. We go off what you can graph. If I can't graph it, it's not data. This is what I said to a wonderful, amazing human being today in the education space. She was amazing. I'm devastated that she's leaving. I said, I just wanted to share with you gently because I'm gentle and German-Irish. March 22nd, 2017, the U.S. Supreme Court justices said a teacher observation is an opinion that can't be verified. So when you come back and tell me that this kid has to go to life skills, opinions don't meet them.
Amen.
So there's that. Can we just talk about my lipstick? Can we just talk about this? This is number 108 from the Old Lady collection of L'Oreal. I just felt like with such pigment, I felt like I needed to share with the people.
All right. This is the favorite name of the person that's ever asked you a question of mine. It is Maximus the Basset Hound. Is wondering, is there any help for high schoolers that have an IEP and struggle with maintaining high grades and being able to play? I'm assuming they mean sports.
So maintaining a passing grade would be a requirement for UIL, Interscholastic League. So there's no requirement if you have an IEP to have a high grade. If you believe that your child is not going to be able to get passing grades and they wouldn't be able to meet the no pass, no play requirement, then you can certainly consider looking at putting that into the IEP as an exception or exemption.
Perfect. And then Timor Land 42 asks, can a SPED teacher get in trouble for not meeting with kids on Fridays because IEPs are written as 4 days per week only in case of assemblies or meetings.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna need where's my aspirin bottle? This is a lot out of the gate. What? We write an IEP based on a student's educational need, not assemblies. If a child has a disability, they have a disability 5 days a week. So, whenever we agreed upon it's called the laws, it's called the conformity of the IEP. That means what we agreed upon. If you agreed that they get 4 days of support out of 5, I would deliver those 4 days. Which 4 days you choose, not a problem.
I like it. Okay, this one's anonymous.
Anonymous? Is that like their name? Their TikTok name is Anonymous.
No. Yeah. How do you feel about the superintendent that is also the SPED director but has no SPED certifications or endorsements?
So I don't know why in these great United States of Americas that we have people in special education who shouldn't be in special education. And sometimes the further you up the leadership ladder, I don't know how they got there. I guess they made, I don't know, really good desserts. I don't know. So here's what I do know. If you're in special education, you should have a heart for it and you should have some qualifications. However, in the great state of Texas, the only requirement for a special education director for an entire district is that you have some knowledge of special education. I'd like to say for the record, I can tell.
Yes. All right. This one is somebody who wants to know, which school district do you recommend for an ASD nonverbal student? They're moving back to Houston in about a year and they want what's best for their son.
Klein Independent School District is the very best school district in Houston, Texas of 7 million people. Period. Klein Independent School District. And might I also say, they're adjacent to a Talbot. So there's that. Klein. K-I-L-E-I-N. Klein. Yeah.
I like it.
Can we talk about math just real quick? Because I'm very wound up today. So you know how good I am at math? So we were doing resource for this kiddo today, and they were like, okay, it's 40 minutes of resource. I said, so how long is the math block? And he said, an hour and 20 minutes. I was ready, you guys, because you know I'm really good with math. I said, so we can keep it the same, just half. And he goes, no, it's an hour and a half. No, you said an hour and 20 minutes. So that's 80 minutes. He goes, oh, yeah. I'm like, so clearly neither one of us will be passing the state math test for third graders. Math, it's not for everybody.
Correct. All right. Bianca would like to know how.
Is that her? I'm going to need full names. Is that her full TikTok name, or is just Bianca, like she's a celebrity, like she's going on tour with Taylor?
Ma'am, it's the name she gave me when she asked me the question. Okay. It could be an alias for all I know.
You're saying are you saying she's from outer space?
I didn't say an alien. I said an alias. Bianca would like to know, how do you prove that a learning disorder is affecting your child's ability to succeed in school if their grades are bad, but their tests are good?
So it's about an educational need. So it's not just about one data point, which is a test. What does it look like day in and day out? Can we give them the product that we just taught and they can be successful when you test them? Teachers test to see if the student has learned the content. So your daily grades for me would have more weight. And I would also look at her district assessments, right? Those CBAs, those DLAs, those UPS, those OPIs, whatever you call it in your district.
Yeah. Those. Yeah. All right. This one is from Anonymous again. What would you say to a high school counselor that tells a parent that the ADHD diagnosis at the age of 16 is quote unquote too old to start a 504 plan?
I would say, do you miss working at Cracker Barrel? What? I would say, I'm going to assume that you got your medical degree the same place I did, on the TikTok. What? This is when you bonk people in the head with a pool noodle. I mean, just stop lying to parents. I guess if you're 16 and you have ADHD, like, pretty much it's a wrap. There's nothing we can do. I mean, 16, you had a good run, you know.
Yeah.
There's what Bueller, Bueller. Are you yelling, Alicia, in your country?
No, I wasn't yelling at all. All right, so this one is from another anonymous source. They said they're asking us to make a decision about the diploma or certificate of completion regarding our 4-year-old before kindergarten. How and why?
Because they want to put him in a specific track. I had an IEP meeting, I won't tell you one time, in Houston Independent School District where I do not take clients. Doesn't matter if you make it rain. I don't take clients in Houston Independent School District. And they wanted to talk about graduation for a 4-year-old so they could put him in life scale. I said, it's a hard no for me versus a soft. Is there a soft no? I don't know if there's a soft no. We make decisions about graduation plans and not being on the full track when they're juniors. So maybe their 4-year-old is really smart and he's about to graduate, but it's your junior year. For those of you in other countries that aren't Texas, that's 11th grade.
All right, I have one more and then I'm going to pass it on to whoever's paying attention to the comments. All right, this one's a little lengthy, so I need you to focus. I am helping a parent fight for a one-to-one for her daughter to move when she transitions into gen ed for a portion of her day. She is very anxious and shuts down in social situations in the larger class setting and has difficulty with transitions. It's always such a fight to increase supports in my students' least restrictive and appropriate environment, as opposed to admin just wanting to dumb my students down and not give them a fair chance to succeed. Is there a specific law in IDEA that I can reference, or how can I ensure that this mom gets the correct support for her daughter?
So it's a little bit of a tricky question, right? If a student needs a one-on-one para to go to general ed, I don't know, my friend, if that's the appropriate setting. So a one-on-one is the most restrictive setting. It really dilutes data. I mean, I am on board for a one-on-one if we can fade it. But just to have a one-on-one so I can go be in another class. So you have to realize that equity and access and inclusion is about I go into the class and then I also participate with my classmates. And so if that's not on the table, then I don't know if, I really want her in that general ed setting until that's reduced. Or maybe we just go in there with support for a really shortened period of time. And then we see if we can, increase her stamina in that setting.
Thank you. Okay. First question of the night was from Kissy Fur 1018. Okay. And her question is, can I request for a different psychologist to perform an evaluation, or what can I do if it is not granted?
So, asking for a different staff member is quite uncomfortable. So I certainly have had different staff members do an evaluation after they did them, but without fidelity or ethically. But just to say from the gate, I don't want Shannon doing my, diagnostic. It's going to be kind of a hard hill to climb.
Okay, and then the next one was, I'm a special education certified preschool director in Florida. I wish VPK children had an IEP opt. I don't know what that means.
So she means pre-K children had an IEP option that were general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ma'am, you got to read between the acronyms. Now. You have to read between the acronyms.
Well, I don't have to. I'm trying to read between all these questions. Someone said, I need to know what you're drinking.
I am drinking. I am drinking. What am I drinking? I'm drinking Focus. Yep, that's what I'm drinking.
All right, Sarah.
This is what I'm drinking. It's Focus, and it helps me. Guess what it helps me do?
Focus.
It's what the big boss drinks. Mm-hmm.
Someone said, translator said, you're even more funny when you're wound up.
I'm usually pretty wound up. Yeah. Don't tell anybody.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more and then Sarah is going to take over. Jillian White 1 said, my son is supposed to be here placed in a preschool setting next year, but there are no spots. He's autistic. What can I do?
So pre-K for general ed or pre-K for special ed. So I'm assuming it's for special ed. If he met eligibility for ECSC, early childhood special education, then they have to provide him that education. It may not be at the closest campus to you.
Okay. Can a child with autism qualify for an IEP if she has developmental delays?
A child with a disability that's in need of special education qualifies for an IEP. You could have 10 federal disabilities, you could have one. So if you have a federal disability, a federal eligibility by your disability, and you're in need of special education and related services, you get an IEP. Whether you have developmental delays and autism, that doesn't exempt you from receiving an IEP.
Okay, Melissa Wallace says, change of placement for graduation. Uh-oh. It just moved. That's okay, I have a different question. I'll find it. Can a SPED monitor kick a student off of the bus?
Yes. That's the point of a SPED monitor. Kick them off the bus sounds so, like the bus is going. There are kiddos that are not successful on general ed buses, and there are kiddos that are not successful on special ed buses on certain circumstances.
Okay, I found it. Melissa Wallace said, change of placement for graduation. Same or similar requirements as a prior written notice? Not done, just decision or predetermined.
So
OCR.
I don't know what change of placement for graduation means. I'm going to need a little more context around that.
Okay. We'll wait for that. When does a school need to start implementing an IEP for a new student?
When they get good and ready. When they get good and ready. When they come to school? When they come to school.
Yes. When are manifestation meetings required?
So at maximum, at the latest, when they've been out of placement for 10 days. But you can call an MDR at any time. I call MDRs. So I'm going to answer this one question because it's come up a bunch even that I can see. So it says, I'm lost. I need help with my son's IEP. They want to retain him, and I'm so conflicted. So, I would listen to them when they talk about wanting to retain them and what is the data that supports that. But make sure that you're supported when you go in that meeting. Maybe take a friend with you and have them present the data to you on something you can photocopy, and then take that home and consider it if it's right for your family.
How can I get my school to get an accessible swing?
The U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights. But not only do you need an accessible swing, you need an accessible playground. So the ramp has to be accessible. The floor of the playground has to be accessible. The inclines have to be correct. Probably your entire playground is inaccessible.
If the vice principal is the teacher of record and never in the room, is this legal? Only paras in the room.
Well, she's not the teacher of record if she's not teaching the students.
This will be the last one for me. How does nobody on my child's IEP team attend resolution or mediation during due process?
That's very standard. One of our team members today was in mediation. Those aren't the members that come to mediation. The people that come to mediation, whether it's through a state filing or a federal filing, are people that can do two things. They can make decisions and they can release funds. All right, Bonnie, you're up. Tag, you're it. I don't even know if you were it, but you're it now.
All right, so first one I see is when making an OCR complaint, do you or should you list each and all dates known to the violations?
So when you file an OCR complaint, it will ask you the dates it happened, what happened, who it happened, name of the teacher. So that's actually part of the online submission process. You want to give them as much detail as possible without overloading them with information. So you want to make sure that it's in the scope of their jurisdiction, that you are not talking about placement, you're not talking about minutes, you're not talking about eligibility, don't be talking about goals, because all of those things will get your complaint thrown out. So really make sure that you print out from, I think it's from August, the CPM, the case processing manual, and look and see if what you're going to file on fits the specificity of what OCR has jurisdiction over.
Angel says her son now does not qualify in Ohio for read aloud on state tests. Is this something she can request in the IEP?
So we don't have to qualify for accommodations. You don't have to qualify for civil rights. So if it's a need, we implement it. But there's no threshold where, he didn't quite make the read aloud. If we know that that's what he needs to benefit from his educational program, then we provide that to him. But there's no qualify for an accommodation.
Why would my school need a new document stating that my son is still autistic from his doctor?
They wouldn't. The only time that you would need a new form from your doctor is if the eligibility was OI, orthopedic impairment, VI, vision impairment, or OHI, other health impairment. Those are partnered with medical doctors filling out forms.
And Kiki Lane's son has a 504 and behavior issues, but the school is refusing evaluations because he's on par academically. What can she do?
Good news is IDEA doesn't talk about, are you doing good academically? It says, is there an educational need? Does the student have a disability? And are they in need of special education, not special academics, and related services? Did you see I just did that, Alicia? Did you see I just, boom. Okay, Bonnie, I feel like Shannon is about to burst into tears. She has her little questions ready, and I don't want to get the Berkeley face, so we're gonna let
Shannon.
The best for last, Shannon. That's what it is.
Woohoo! Okay. Can a counselor ask if your child is on meds? My child is not. Counselor asked why not.
I would say, ma'am, have you taken your meds today? Because I feel like you're not making good judgment calls. Yeah, since the counselor is probably not the student's physician, probably shouldn't be asking that. But there's no law against bad manners.
Unfortunately.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
My son's school says there's a wait list for a vision evaluation for pre-K. Can they do this?
We'll have to start over, ma'am. There was some ruckus from another country. Go ahead.
Okay. My son's school says there's a wait list for a vision evaluation for pre-K. Can they do this?
There's a wait list? Like getting into a club in Miami? No, if you need an evaluation, you need an evaluation. If they don't have the staff that do it, then they need to pay for somebody private to do it.
Okay, sorry, it's moving. Hang on. Okay, what should the team consider the need for a one-to-one para in high school?
So the one-to-one para need has nothing to do with whether or not you're 5 or you're 22, right? So without the one-to-one para, they will not be able to access the grounds, the setting, or the curriculum.
Parent refuses out of placement setting, even though school setting is not appropriate. What now?
So if you disagree with the LEA, the local education agency, twice, whatever the local education agency recommended becomes the IEP.
Can IEP be denied?
I'm going to just hold that question. I'm going to jump in real quick for Brittany Handel. So it says, my daughter has oculocutaneous albinism. Can these can these be diagnoses? So that is so that's a vision impairment, Brittany. You're going to meet eligibility under VI for that. I just have several kiddos that have that. I just wanted to. Nothing automatically qualifies you for an IEP, but that should certainly trigger Child Find to do full testing. Sorry, Shannon. You know, sometimes
It's okay.
I jump ahead.
Can an IEP be denied if child is 9 with developmental delays but being denied for behavioral?
Can you say it again?
Can IEP be denied if the child is 9 with developmental delays but they're denying for behavioral?
So we look at all the needs, right? Emotional, behavioral, functional, communicative, social, academic, all the pieces that would impact the child. So when you say an IEP is being denied, we have to do an evaluation, and then we look at the results of the testing. The testing might come out that they don't meet the determination criteria in your state.
How many students have you heard of being successful from Braille taught virtually?
It's sort of like hair color virtually. We'll go with none.
Yeah, that would be hard to do.
Yeah.
Why are advocates telling me to pay $6,500 for a neuropsych evaluation when my child has DS and qualifies for services? I guess Down syndrome.
Maybe they're getting a kickback from the $6,500 evaluation.
Can you share where I can find proof that a vision test does not have to be passed to qualify for 504?
Well, there's not going to be anything to find for stuff that doesn't exist. So a 504 is a civil rights law that says that you can, if you have a disability, you can't be denied accommodations in a 504 plan. And then somebody asked to repeat if you disagree with the school twice. So when the local education agency makes a proposal and you disagree with them, once you have 2 formal disagreements in IEP meetings, your state defers to the local education agency as the authority in those decision processes, which is why it's very important. And we train that you are very responsible with your agrees, your disagrees, and tabling an IEP meeting.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more and then I'll pass it on. What should be my first step if my child is not receiving speech therapy that's stated in his IEP?
Well, I think that you should jump on tonight on the Special Education Academy, and we can discuss that. But the services that we agreed upon in the IEP have to be implemented. Whether we have staff, we're low on staff, we don't have staff, those are still requirements to implement FAPE, the provision of FAPE, a free appropriate public education. There's never been an exception or exemption for special education certification or teachers, or a waiver on delivery of service minutes.
Okay, I have a good one. How do you appropriately report incidents in a special education classroom when admin and district deny that they happen?
If you work in the classroom, it sounds like you're not going to be able to do that. It says the host.
Sorry, I went to
it said
unmute
the host muted
somehow
me.
made it a full screen. So
oh my God! It said the host muted me. That was terrible.
Thoughts on the law on corporal punishment in schools, especially with kids with IEPs?
My thoughts is that's a parent's decision if they give consent for corporal punishment for their.
Karen, you muted yourself.
I know, but I'm on the TikTok so they can hear me answering the question, but that's fine. So the question was, I didn't mute myself. She muted me. But anyway, I'll unmute it because, these people. Okay, it's fine. Nothing to see here, people. Okay, so the question was, what is my thoughts on corporal punishment in school districts for kids with an IEP? So how people choose to discipline their children, whether they have an IEP or not, is none of my business. But that's a decision that you should make as a family if your district has that as an option for discipline.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Mute is a new thing we've learned on.
Okay, because I have the volume turned all the way down on my phone, so there's not two Karens talking.
Ma'am, it's a lot of words, ma'am. It's a lot of words.
All right, can the school deny privacy for a student who needs medication administered?
So privacy for medication that needs to be administered. I mean, where are you administering the medication? So if you're walking into the nurse's office and you take your medicine, there are kids that dose insulin, and depending how old they are, in classrooms. I don't think that's going to be a problem. If you want it to be private when your child is dispensed their medication, that should be an easy fix. But you know what? Everything I think is an easy fix, I find out.
Not so much. Can my teacher say I can't use an AAC device and it's in my IEP? This is from a student. Their name is Softball Lover 614.
Softball Lover 614, I would write them a note on your device. That's ridiculous. You can't deny somebody part of their IEP. It's very specific. There's actually a Bill of Rights for your voice and to speak. There's 10 types of communicative intent. And I would say to your teacher, are you denying me all 10 types of communicative intent? Because that would make me nervous. I don't want to be nervous.
I commend this student for self-advocating.
Yeah.
Do you need evaluations before being discharged from services?
So we got in the same way we get out. So if they don't meet eligibility, we need to not meet eligibility the same way. So we would need updated testing to say the student no longer meets eligibility in that area. For sure. Otherwise, you get buyer's remorse. You're like, I didn't mean that.
All right. Last one, I'm going to pass it on to Bonnie. Can I get a permit to change my child in the same district but to a different school with an IEP?
A permit? You mean a transfer?
Yeah.
So transfers are an administrative decision. They have nothing to do with special education. If the IEP committee deems that a different campus is necessary, then that's just part of the IEP. But anybody in the school district can always apply for a transfer. They come with no guarantees, though.
All right, so my visually impaired ADHD child special ed teacher is pushing me to switch to a 504. Is this correct?
Let's go with no. 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 Did I say no? No.
So no.
No.
Can we revoke consent to a goal?
So you didn't give consent for a goal. You gave consent for special education services. So you can revoke consent for special education. You can disagree with a goal, and hopefully you can work through those components or maybe make adjustments to the goal. But you cannot revoke consent for a goal. No.
What do you do when you find out that the resource teacher has been absent more than present?
I would file with the U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights because that's called failure to implement under OCR. So the two things that I usually file on a lot of things with OCR: race, retaliation, disability. But I most often file on denial of their civil right, which are their accommodations, and failure to implement their special education service minutes.
So Softball Lovers 614 followed up and said that they take her tablet so that she can't use the AAC because she has trouble talking sometimes. So that's unfortunate.
No. I mean, if you had a student that was visually impaired and they had a cane, would you take that? No. Mm-mm.
I am in Nebraska school district and they are using intervention to delay or deny an evaluation. What should they do?
You should print out January 11th, 2011. There's this letter from OSEP, the Office of Special Education Programs, which said, hey, by the way, kids, remember that intervention of any kind is not a tactic or a delay for special education testing.
What do you do if the school gives you a form for release of medical records? Is this right?
Silly rabbits. So I would say, what exactly do you need released to you? I'm not going to give you carte blanche to my children's medical records. So whatever they need, I'm happy to give consent for. But just, can you have 500,000 copies of my child's records? It's a no.
Where can they find the memo telling about the RTI cannot be an obstacle for testing?
So go to this thing called Google. It's right under google.com. And then you type in OSEP, O-S-E-P, January 11th, 2011. And it's an RTI letter, RTI MTSS. And this letter comes up and it will tell you, silly kids, I know you're not denying them special education testing because you're doing some kind of intervention.
Can a district deny an achievement test and use a district-developed rubric for verification?
You can't use that for formal special education testing.
Okay. And is 5 too young for auditory processing evaluation? The district refused.
So auditory processing is not a disability, but it's certainly one of the 7 Gs that we can test for. I would say no, it's not too young if you use the right instrument and you're a good evaluator.
Any advice on virtual school for someone with autism?
No. Here's my advice on virtual school, period. No. I mean, if you've decided that you want to stay home and put your kids on an online setting, that's completely fine. There's no way to implement special education via computer screen. Doesn't happen.
Okay, one more from me, and I will send it to Sarah.
Is that Sarah in Costa Rica?
Sarah in Costa Rica. It looks like she's back.
Oh, she's back. Well, who knows where she is? She could be in the airport. She might be stuck in customs.
Is it beneficial for my son who is nonverbal to take the MAP test?
You know, it's beneficial for somebody. Somebody's getting paid.
Thumpernick says, help. It's been over a year of testing and canceling for my autistic son to get an IEP.
So there are timelines in testing from the date you request, but the onus and duty is on the school. Those are in your procedural safeguards in your state. I would ask for a copy of that, and I would reach out to compliance in your state and say, you guys okay with that? Because I'm not.
Tumblers and More by Mimi, says ADHD, ODD, PTSD child with behavioral issues, violent outbursts doesn't qualify for accommodations.
What? Of course they do. They qualify for an IEP. You just said violent outburst. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
A lot of behavior stuff tonight. What if we were denied an evaluation but labeled as a behavior child for possible anxiety, ADHD, sensory problem?
So kids don't have labels, packages do. So if the determination components talk about other eligibilities that may provide him services, we're open to have that conversation.
Okay, and so I'm going to jump in. Sarah, love you.
It's a lot of love tonight.
Lots of love. So there are a few people asking how do they reach out to you to get a hold of you for advocacy services? So you want to let them know?
You made it sound so exciting. So I don't want to tell them. So you would just email us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com, advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. And then if you guys want to join our Special Education Academy tonight, you can do that for free for 2 weeks. And Alicia, tell them how they do that.
All right, Karen. So what they're going to do is go to www.specialeducationacademy.com. At the top, there's going to be a tab that says training. Going to go ahead and click on that. You're going to scroll down right past our virtual training and our 2-day training. Those are all very important that Karen will tell you about in a minute. And you're going to keep going down until you get to the tab that says the Academy. You're going to click on that. You're going to fill out all that information. And then right before you put your credit card information, there's going to have a little button. It's really small. You got to look for it. It says have a coupon. You're going to click that. And in all caps, you're going to type TikTok Live, all caps, no spaces. T as in tick, I as in indigo, K as in Karen, T as in tick, O as in Oliver, K as in Karen, L as in Louisiana, I as in indigo, V as in Victor, E as in elephant. TikTok Live, all caps.
Did she say T as in tick?
Yes. The first part of talk.
You guys are so silly. So you'll type that in, TikTok Live? Okay.
Okay, and then go ahead and let them know about the virtual training that's coming up.
Oh, yeah, we have a virtual 2-day training, which will be live and interactive. Saturday, April 15th and Sunday, April 16th. So whether you're in a bathtub in Boston or you're on the shores of the Kodiak Islands of Alaska, you could join us, and it's interactive, and you don't have to go to the airport, so it's going to be amazing. And then we also always have the on-demand 2-day training, and then we have the next in-person is in June
16th and 17th.
Of course.
In Houston.
Yeah, I can't wait to get there. I feel like I'm going to be there. Am I going?
I feel like if you're not, I'm not, so...
We'll just be in the parking lot.
Yeah. All right. Oh, look. They were helping me. They were typing the instructions in the chat.
I know. They were helping you. Thank y'all.
Thank you. I really am going to make a video going through the steps and post it on Karen's TikTok. I'm just going to make a video.
This is you. This is you typing.
Yeah. Right. And then someone said, what are some red flags you should look for in an IEP meeting?
People talking about emotions and not data. And people doing stuff like this. Yeah, those are red flags.
Or if he just tried.
If he just came prepared to get to work. Wow, you should have a daycare because it seems like you love children. Or another red flag could be when you're in there for 3 minutes and you ask for a draft and then the yelling starts. I like the yelling and the projecting. You're the reason people are leaving teaching!
Ma'am, I'm going to need you to take that down a notch. Okay. Someone said FBA was denied because it is not, quote unquote, affecting his learning and he's smart, but he has an IEP. Thoughts?
Well, everybody's smart, so let's debunk that myth. So if you have behavioral needs that warrant a functional behavior assessment, so we can know why we are hypothesizing the behavior is happening, then we can work on mitigating it. So many smart people in education that shouldn't be talking out loud. Yeah.
I agree.
That's why sometimes you can just go into a meeting with a spray bottle. And if they say something you don't like, you just spray them. Like, that's what I do. I mean, I don't go to meetings anymore in person, but that would ruin my laptop. But, yeah.
I feel like this person's been to our live before because she put an emoji.
So yay! I love emojis.
No, I love emojis. So she asked for testing for my granddaughter, and I was told she is a tier 3 and will get accommodations for the star.
Buttercup. I'm a little uncomfortable with your response about the state testing, which nobody cares about. If my daughter needs special education and related services, please let me know when I can come in and sign notice and consent for the full testing. Thank you. Because tier 3, you already are special editing them. Oh, Emilio's wife says that they don't
She's ready to go.
She does not see the June training details on the website. What?
You're correct. Our website person is actually working on that tonight.
So, but what are the dates, ma'am?
The June dates are the 16th and 17th.
Am I coming to that?
Yes, we just talked about this.
I feel like Shannon and Bonnie can do it
16th and
now.
17th, and we just locked those. We just secured those dates, so we didn't put them on the website yet. But I let our tech lady know today, so they should be updated on the website within the next.
Do you really want me to tell her that you called her that? The tech lady. Is it Friday the 16th?
You know what? She loves me. It's fine.
Is it Friday the 16th and Saturday the 17th?
It's Saturday the 17th. Yes.
Let me take my pencil and write in my paper book. I didn't have that marked in, but now it's official. It's in. So when you do those two little marks, that makes it official in education world.
Yes. Okay, what can I do if my AU and ADHD kiddo's IEP was removed because he was, quote unquote, making progress?
Okay, I would say, where is he making progress? Is he making progress in all the areas that were identified deficits? If not, we're going to keep it. And somebody asked how long that they have before to sign up for the virtual training. The virtual training will close at 5 p.m. in Hawaii. Am I making that up? Yeah. If you don't register if you don't register April 14th, you won't get the login. How did that sound? Was that a good answer, Alicia? Or was that terrible?
That's a good answer. Yeah. You have to by 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on the 14th. Yes. I just made that.
While facing northwest.
Correct. But there was also another question that says, how long do we have to register for the 2-week academy? You can use that code at any time. So whenever you're ready, use the code. If you're not ready, like if you're going to put it in and then you don't have time.
Like when you're going on a cruise for 2 weeks to Greece. Yeah. Whenever you're sitting there and you go, it's about dang time. That's when you put it in. That was funny, Shannon. I can't believe I didn't get a smile out of you for that. I'm just using all my comedy. These people behind me, they're all like, they're very serious with the questions.
Well, we've heard a lot of your comedy. It's fine. We need some new material, ma'am.
Ow.
Okay, anyways, someone said, how can you eliminate ABA therapy? With 2 question marks.
How can I eliminate ABA therapy? So ABA therapy.
Well, I guess like maybe they can eliminate, maybe they're asking how can they take it out of their child's IEP? I don't know.
So ABA therapy is not a required component of an IEP in the great United States of America. There are a few states that do incorporate it.
Yes, they said yes, as in I was correct on how it interpreted the question.
You are full of correct interpretation.
Thank you. In the process of switching school districts, how long does the new school have to accept my child's IEP?
They don't have any time. It's not about it. They have an IEP. You have to continue their special ed services.
Bada bing, bada boom. We got 8 minutes left, guys. If y'all want questions, send them in. Thoughts on being an SLD eval when a student fails vision or hearing screening? Oh, beginning an SLD, I'm sorry. Thoughts on beginning an SLD evaluation when a student fails vision or hearing?
What are my thoughts? So the reason we do vision and hearing screening is that's going to be a component that might affect outcomes. There are lots of kiddos that fail their vision or hearing screening, and we do a full evaluation. So it doesn't stop that. Oh, softball lover 614 said, I got to go see you guys. Did she see us? Were we seen?
She's saying she needs to come see us.
Oh, come on down. You're the next contestant.
She is getting bullied because she doesn't use her words as like out of her mouth. Instead, she uses an AAC. And you know what? My son uses an AAC device, and he will use his AAC device to bully those people for you. He may just smack them in the head with it, but he
or take your 44-ounce red drink and just knock it over there on their desk.
Correct. Yeah, he will handle that for you. All right, ready? I'm going to ask, 4 more questions? You think you can fit them in?
I can fit in 20.
No, you can't. Do schools need to have a draft ready at the IEP meetings?
Well, you're going into a meeting. I assume that there's a draft. Otherwise, there'd be no point in having a meeting. That's called being prepared.
Best process for developing an IEP from an ISP in a high school for a student from a Catholic school. That was a lot of questions.
Yeah, so how do you go from a service plan to an IEP? Again, you have to have evaluations. You have to have a new evaluation.
Yes. MDR determines suspensions are a result of a disability. He has a BIP. What now?
What now is when there's an MDR, we're charged with getting consent and doing a new FBA. And we still need to have a discussion around what is appropriate consequence for that behavior, if any.
There's a follow-up. I'm sorry. I didn't realize there was a second part to that question. Child keeps getting suspended, and they just keep having manifestation meetings, but nothing changes.
So then he's in the wrong placement. So obviously that school doesn't have the ability to provide him a free, appropriate public education. But we are happy to look at out-of-district placement at the expense of the district. Muffin. If you just add muffin on. I know these are so many acronyms, aren't they? ISP. This is a lot.
I read all the questions. I mean, I'm with these ladies reading all the questions, and I don't even know what half of them mean. Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
District told kid to go to full-time therapy and stop providing all education services. Is that a FAPE denial?
That's I don't know if you're, what? Yeah, it's so many things. That's a civil rights violation. That's a FAPE denial. That's retaliation. That's discrimination. That's predeterminate. It's all the Asians together.
All of them.
Look at Shannon's face. Shannon has the best eyes. I think she has the largest eye circumference. I feel like we should take her to an eye doctor to have her eye. So when Shannon's surprised, it like takes up the whole frame of. It looks like a little baby emoji. It's like, what? Yeah. You report retaliation with the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights.
Okay, this one says, it's from Melissa Wallace. I guess somebody read a question earlier from her. Sarah knows what I'm talking about. She said, please revisit. Karen wanted more info. Change of placement notice for graduation. And in quotes, it says, remove special ed with regular diploma. No reason given. OCR time, question mark.
I mean, I don't really if you're saying it's a graduation, when you graduate, that ends your IEP. I guess I don't do this. Send us an email at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. I just feel like that has more context.
Yes, I like it. After how many manifestations is there an out-of-district placement?
So after we get to the Manifestation Determination Resolution Meeting, that's what MDR stands for, Manifestation Determination Resolution Meeting, and we're not resoluting the problem, then that campus has exhausted its options. There are limits to what a school campus can do. So I have kiddos that are at out-of-district placement because schools have limits. They don't have doctors. They don't have nonstop therapy. They don't have a lot of things, and we don't just keep having manifestation determination meetings.
All right, last one. And then we got to go over to the academy. Is
that where you spelled TikTok, like tick?
You want me to spell it again?
Yes.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay, T as in Timothy, I as in indigo, K as in Karen, T as in talk. O as
That's not even a word.
K as in Karen, L as in Levi, I as in indigo, V as in Victor, E as in elephant. All caps.
TikTok Live.
TikTok Live.
And we'll be there in 2 seconds. And we're in a series right now in Special Education Academy called The Continuum of Services, which you want to know about, LRE, the least restrictive environment, and the extent of non-participation. So just real quick, Robin Sowell. She said requested full evaluation, but sent a file.
That was the question I was trying to read when you kept cutting me off. Robin, I was trying, Robin.
Did you notice I was cutting her off? Whereas adults say we're having a conversation, but she had a traumatic childhood, so she was cut off. So when you request a full evaluation, if they're going to deny that request, they have to provide that denial to you in the prior written notice, making sure they've met all 7 criteria under the Individuals with Education Act, Part B as in ba-bam. So this is what I say to the school district. Should you choose to deny this parent special education testing, please provide that denial in a prior written notice. Once we receive that prior written notice, then we'll respond with our legal response. Muffin. You just want to end with muffin. So thanks, you guys. We'll be back whenever we're back, because whatever Alicia tells us to do. But come on over to the academy. It's 2 weeks for free. You'll love it. There's hundreds of hours of training. And you can access those, lots of different jackets and all the workbooks. So we will see you there. Remember, we get it right for the child. We get it right for everybody.